Crisis diverted with the lock.
Yeah, I went to go close the storage unit and there was no lock, and our guitarist had opened it. And so I called him a couple times. He finally answered and he's like, I think it's on top of my car, but I'm only around the corner. I'll be right back. And so he pulls in and the lock is just still sitting on top of his car. So we did like like a 5 block loop around Seattle and came back with it.
Nice.
Dude, your breath fucking stinks. All right.
You're like, I love you, but your breath stinks. All right. So is it just the two of you then joining us?
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right.
We are generally the spokespeople for the home team.
You're the spokespeople, the
You don't
spokesman.
you don't want to talk to the other guys, trust me.
Yeah. No.
That's all right. It gets crowded in here if there's too many.
Yeah.
I do want to say right off the top, I thought this was a fun little side story about a quarter mile down the road from me. There is a pub and grill called the Home Team Pub.
Oh, do you live in Richmond, Virginia?
No, Syracuse, New
Oh,
York.
whoa.
So
Where do you
that
live?
makes number 3 in the country then.
Number 3.
Oh man. I wonder, you should just Google it. There's probably even more.
There might be,
You
There's
gotta go.
one that just opened in Seattle, and it's really frustrating because I slid into their DMs from the band page thinking like, oh, they'd see like blue check, lots of followers, Seattle band. I was like, hey, I don't know how, but we should collab. And then they just left me on red. Like, you
Oh,
what? Like, we had the name first.
right?
Yeah. I mean, it sucks for them. We have the home team, so
Yeah.
everybody else can suck it.
Yeah. Well, you should try to go to every single one and like sticker bomb it somewhere.
They're just gonna think it's their stickers.
Maybe. Maybe they don't have stickers. I just think it'd be funny. All right. Well, let's get this party started, right, Chris?
Yeah, party. Woo. Listen, I'm tired.
He's tired.
I dealt with the furnace guy all day.
Yeah, he did. I worked all day, but you technically did, right?
Me, technically? Yeah. I worked my 9 to 5. I dealt with the furnace guy and I prepped for today and tomorrow.
Yep. Prepping away. All right, let's get started. Could you please introduce yourselves to our listeners, just in case no one's heard of you?
Yeah. Hi, I am Brian. I sing for a band called the Home Team.
I'm Daniel. I play drums for the same band.
All right. So the Home Team has been around for quite a while now. How exactly did the band come to be, and what is your origin story?
Yeah, so I started the band in 2013 with our guitarist John. We had played in a melodic hardcore band together out in Seattle. And so we started the original demos in like 2010 or so. We had played in that band together, and then he had written some pop punk songs, and we were like writing them back and forth through Guitar Pro, just sending them just via email. And then our respective metal band, that band broke up. Our respective metal bands on the side started touring a little bit more, and then when those kind of fizzled out, so around 2013 we got the idea to like really hit it one more time and give it like one real good shot at, I guess, making it for lack of a better term. We put out an EP that was very mediocre with an original singer before Brian, did like one DIY tour, and then fun fact, Brian was actually the first person to ever buy that EP
I
on
was
Bandcamp.
OG fan.
And then after things didn't work out with that singer, Brian eventually, well, another guy filled in for one tour. We never recorded anything with him. And then Brian auditions in 2014, right? End of 2014, beginning of 20.
End of 14.
Other fun fact, I had to convince John to let Brian try out a second time because the first tryout didn't go so well.
My voice was shot. I had played a show the night before and I wasn't even close to like being able to sing back to back, and like I hadn't been singing very long, and so playing a show just like completely took it on me. I went to the rehearsal that day and I could not hit it. It was not good. John like said no. He's like, that's not the guy.
And so I convinced John and was like, no, I think this kid's got something. I think he might be the one. And then he came back another time, went
With a
much
fresh
better
voice.
yeah,
Yeah.
much better the second time. So I always joke with Brian that I pulled him out of the local band gutter.
Hmm.
So yeah, so the band we technically started in 2013. That's the first time anyone saw the home team. But really, it wasn't until Brian joined in 2015 that we put out our first EP with him. That's really like the start of the band.
Nice. That's an interesting beginning, actually, that you went
Yeah.
through like a couple singers and then an OG fan became your singer.
That was almost 10 years ago that I auditioned. This year it'll be.
Probably doesn't feel that long ago, though.
No. I mean, in some ways it feels even longer, just because of how many times we've changed as a band, like how many times we've evolved. That said, though, no, because there's so much I remember about it that I mean, I'm only 28. Like the concept of 10 years doesn't make a ton of sense to me yet.
Right. Wait
So
till you become 40 like me.
yeah, I was about to say, once I hit my 40s and 50s, and I'll be like, yeah, 10 years actually is not that long.
We're coming up next year is going to be the 10-year of the original EP.
Yeah.
So my brain's been spinning, and we own the rights to that, so we can do vinyl whenever we want.
Oh, see,
Nice.
Don't make
your
me
fans,
record
I'm
that.
sure, want that too because it's real big right now.
Ain't nobody want that record though.
We
Nobody
scrubbed it
listens to
from the
that.
internet. I think
Hey,
maybe
Oh no
Apple
no no
Music has it.
no, not that one. Not that's never coming out ever. I'm talking about the Letters from a Friend and Burning
Oh, you're
Gold.
right.
It
You're
came out in
right. That was
2015.
10. Yeah, that was 2015. Holy shit, that's crazy. Oh,
We
all
can
right.
we can do
Well,
a throwback set, play it, do a couple Fall Out Boy covers, play 6 songs total, just like the old days.
man, that sure would be easy.
So you've had that EP, a couple full lengths, since the band's inception. From what I understand, the third full length is going to be released this year. How does that compare to the previous material?
Well, there was a huge jump in style between our first and second albums. And Slow Bloom, our second album, is definitely more like what we're gonna go for in the future. Uh, and this one is a very logical step forward. Like it's not like there's no huge leap like there was last time. But it's not the same album again, that's for damn sure. And the process of making it was so different that naturally there is going to be some variance album to album, but the vision is much more the same and much more honestly this time refined, because this time we go into it knowing what the vision is, whereas prior to Slow Bloom, we didn't really know what we were about to make. We just like we took all of our influences, we put them together, and we said, "This is kind of the vibe we're going for." And then by the end of it, we said, "Oh, we get it now. Now we can move forward with this vision in mind." And this is the first album since that has happened, since we've been able to go forward with a very specific vision.
nice.
If you had to, like, let's say without genre labeling, right? If you had to describe the sound, what would you describe it as? Like,
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
who are you talking to? Are you talking to someone in our world, or are you talking to grandma on the street?
That's a good question.
Because those are two different
let's go with
answers.
Grandma on the Street. I want to hear that one.
Um, well, we can't say heavy pop because she'll look at us like we're idiots. Um, uh,
Oh, see, Grandma on the Street's making you think.
I usually say it's like alternative rock, kind of in the Warp Tour pop punk space. So if you say like Warp Tour, people guess, emo, that kind of world. So that's as narrow as I need to make it for them to get it.
yeah, I'm honestly at the end of the day, if I'm talking to somebody who I have no idea what their concept of music is, I say we're a rock band.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'd love to share my description with you, and I shared it with Jess earlier. I don't know. So especially the last album, I call it like if JC Chazé started a pop punk band.
I
So
don't know
like
if I know
JC
who.
JC Chazé from NSYNC.
Oh, JC from NSYNC. Got it.
Yeah,
I don't think I
yeah.
knew his
It
last
was
name.
like, so I really, really love like the vibe of it. Like, and if you're
Cool.
going to build off of that, like, can't wait.
Great. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a great comparison. I love hearing people's comparisons because I mean, quite frankly, it is a little bit difficult to like package our sound. That's not patting myself on the back. That could be a good or bad thing. Um, but I will say when people have descriptors and comparisons like that, it's very nice for me because then it gives me honestly something else to say to somebody who is asking, what do you guys sound like? So
But that's one thing that I really like in music too, is when something isn't defined by a genre, it blends and defies genres, if you will.
nice.
Just making your own thing, and that's what I feel you guys are doing personally.
Oh,
But
appreciate it.
So you guys have released 2 singles so far from the new record, Loud and Brag, which I say they're fantastic.
Thank you.
Would you say these 2 songs are a good representation of the vibe and the tone the new record's going to have?
Yeah, honestly, I do. I think between the two of them, they cover a lot of ground. Because they both represent a little bit more of like the curveballs that we're going to throw at people on this album and the safer sound. I will let you decide which is which. Um, but yes, I do think that they are a pretty good representation. That's not to say that we have shown all of our cards yet. Um, I think what is missing from those songs is that is present on the rest of the album are some serious songs. Like those two are pretty lighthearted.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there are more serious songs for sure.
Your dancing is very lighthearted too.
Thank you. It took a lot of work in a small amount of time to be able to make that video because I do not have a lot of history dancing, but I did want to. I listened to a lot of R&B, and I was at a show for an artist named Victoria Monet, and she is an insane dancer, and she dances and sings at the same time. And I was like, I gotta learn to dance, bro. This is so cool.
So
So
talking about singles too, so when will the next single be, kind of hitting the streaming and the internet? Like, what's the time frame fans can think they're gonna hear it?
We
Like, if
actually
you're allowed to
just,
share.
yeah, we just locked this in like today.
this morning.
Yeah, this morning. It's gonna be towards the end of March.
Yeah,
All
we're gonna
right.
let Loud and Brag breathe a little longer than we originally anticipated.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. So you guys were recently overseas for the first time with the Used for 5 shows. How was that experience, and what was your most memorable moments doing that?
Those were the biggest shows. Like 3 of those shows were the 3 biggest shows we've ever played.
Yeah, it was
Um,
bad.
so pretty surreal. I feel like there's from like crowd size as you get bigger, there's a couple like major milestones. So like going from, 10 people to 100 people is like a pretty big jump, right? Um, Going from like 100 to 200, not so much. Uh, I thought we had kind of gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, anything past 1,000 people is like it's just a sea of people. That is not totally true. One of the shows was like 2,300 people, and it's a lot of fucking people.
And it was
And
like all on the ground in front. Like there was no balcony at this venue,
Hmm.
and it was all just right in front of us.
I feel like once you get past, like I say this every time, but like once you're past like 2, 3,000 people, like how do you tell the difference between 10 and 20,000? Like we're ever gonna play a crowd that size, but
We might.
eventually it's just a sea of people, right? The way that one venue was laid out, yeah, no balcony, so it was like 2,300 people all directly in front of you, and it's pretty intimidating. Like hands were definitely shaking before we started playing.
Yeah, never say never though. You could play in front of that many 20,000 people
Hey,
someday.
I was talking to Sky, and apparently the biggest show Issues ever opened was One OK Rock in I can't remember where in Asia it was, but it was at an arena that was 23,000 people.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, Coachella 2027. I'm calling it right now.
what are some
Uh,
of your favorite songs to play live?
Oh, great question. I love On. It's not a single by any means. It's a deeper cut from our last album, but it is one of our favorite songs, and it's going to take a lot for us to remove it from our live set just because it goes so hard live. Um, I also think Slow Bloom, the song, is a really good encapsulator of our sound. And so that kind of groove um, is really, really fun to showcase, like, so to speak. Yeah, I'd say those two are definitely some of my favorites.
For me, Right Through Me is one of the favorites. It's just like if I have to show someone our band, that's usually the song I start with. It's just like got the perfect amount of energy. It's pretty succinct, it's quick and to the point. It shows a lot of what like we do. Um, and live, it's just like the perfect tempo for a lot of jumping, and it just goes off really well live.
So on the opposite side of that, would you guys or have you guys played Sales live
Yeah,
before?
we have. We did it on our headliner last year. I think we played every song off of Slow Boom Deluxe on our headliner, and then like two Better Off songs. Um, and yeah, honestly, I really liked playing Sales. At first, it was one of the ones I was the most nervous for because the way that the lyrics are like oriented in that song, it's repetitive in melody, but not in lyrics, which means which gets a little dangerous as far as like remembering which lyrics come when. Like I could listen to the song 1,000,001 times, and I still have the potential to have just a brain fart on stage and sing the wrong lyric. So that one, for the first like 2 weeks of that tour, I was a little like in my head hyper aware of what I was singing. Eventually, it got easier. Fun fact: it wasn't until the last time we played it, which was Four Chord Festival, because we were doing an acoustic little like morning showcase in like a tent, a VIP tent. Um, that was the only time I messed up the lyrics. Was the final time I played that song. Um, and so, but otherwise though, I liked playing it. It was a really nice gap in our set. We did all the like soft ballads in the middle. So we did, what was it?
Another Night Alone with You.
Into Sales, into She's Quite Acoustic.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I do love She's Quiet. That's a great song.
nice. Yeah, we did not play the full band version on the headliner at all.
Yeah, that was our intentional way of like, we're not cutting it out of the set, but we're not giving you what you want. We'll give you throw a little curveball in there.
Yeah, Sales is definitely one of my favorites.
Sweet. That's
Um,
awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they did more of a full band version too. So like we had actual bass in there, and there were some tracks, and like I played really light drums along with it. So like when the choruses hit, it wasn't just Brian and an acoustic guitar on stage. It was like full band kind of in the choruses, which is cool.
is it gonna get the nobody puts a baby in the corner treatment like Fall Out Boy did, where you got the full instrumental from acoustic to full instrumental?
Funny, we actually were
We've done that.
planning we're planning on going the other direction. That's actually how the song Jack of All Trades ended up happening. We did it acoustically because we needed another song on the EP it was on, and then did it full band on the next record. But our plan with Sales was to actually slow it down even more and give it more of like a swingy like wedding feeling. Because we want that to be people's like wedding song. It didn't happen. We didn't do that reimagined EP that we thought we were going to, but we might be doing it soon.
Yeah, we
That'd be
switched
sick.
labels right at that time, and it's not exactly a good look to go to your new label and say, "Hey, we'd love to re-record a bunch of our old material that you don't own."
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah,
Probably not a good
that'd be
idea.
sick.
So
The one that like my wedding song was Tiger Lily by Matchbook Romance, and that song, when compared to the rest of that album, definitely sticks out like that. So that'd be sick if you guys did that, because I'm sure somebody would use that.
yeah,
Multiple people would use that as a wedding song.
My wedding song was Bayside Landing Feet First. So,
nice.
but
Same.
on to more of your stuff. I would like to add that another favorite song of mine is Watching All Your Friends Get Rich. I do love that
Sweet.
song.
That's like that's probably my favorite song we have.
It's a great song and it's very catchy.
Nice.
So in tune with performing, I asked which, was some of your favorite songs to perform live. How important is interpersonal band energy when performing live, and how do you guys feed off of that for the performance?
That's a good question because, to be honest with you, we are kind of all in our own world with the exception of John and Ryan. they feel it this very, very similarly. And what I mean by that is like over time, they've noticed moments where they both kick at the same time, but it's not rehearsed. Like we didn't say they didn't say, "Hey, I'm gonna kick here, so you kick here." Okay. No, it literally just they both like kicking and they both happen to kick at the same time. And there are a lot of moments like that where they kind of uh share that stage energy. But to be honest with you, we all do kind of live in our own realm. Like John, they don't switch places on stage ever. Like I know a lot of bands will do that, like they'll move around. um I don't really interact with them very much. It's just not something that we've ever really added to our repertoire of live performance, just because like we're usually pretty in our own world. But to be honest, like our dynamic as a band as a whole is very important, just because like um, our chemistry on stage is reflective of our chemistry off stage, and I mean, we're all really close friends. I've noticed like what it was one thing I've noticed that like over time is that that's actually a lot more rare than I thought it was. I thought most bands were all just homies that wanted to do this together with their buddies. That's not really true. It's a lot of like these are coworkers and they are coworkers in their space and they have their roles, and when they go home, they go home. They don't chat. They don't say, "Hey, let's hang out." You know what I mean? Like we are very close friends, and I think that that's very important for our overall dynamic, which probably has some manifestation in our live dynamic as well. I don't know
And
what it
I'm
is, but it probably exists.
And I mean, just in like the way I feel when I perform, I have way more fun playing our music with my friends than I've had playing any other bands.
Yeah.
I filled in for other bands. I've been in other bands where it was like me dragging along whatever collection of guys I happened to end up in a band with. And like it was fun doing my parts, but it always felt like work, basically. Um, and playing home team shows doesn't really feel like work.
Yeah, I mean
The
that's
playing
good.
the show part, all the other stuff is work.
There is a lot of work, but
But playing the show is doesn't
fun,
feel like work.
That's the reward.
pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah. So along the lines of performing again, because I really love getting into this aspect of getting to know bands. This one's a little more left field, right? So I like to set up this preface as Johnny Depp says he got his inspiration for Jack Sparrow from Keith Richards. Do you have an inspiration for your stage presence?
Um, Not really, only because like the the amount of time that's had to go into me building the level of confidence that I need to like have a stage presence at all has just been like me doing things wrong and learning from it. So it really just came down to years and years of playing shows. And so it's not I wouldn't say that there's any one specific influence I've ever had, but one thing I will say is that uh I have noticed there are things that I've noticed from watching other very talented vocalists who when I take notes, I apply them. So it's not to say that like this has been all me, like I'm, you know, uh, but there are plenty of times where I've taken notes. And one of the things that I think I've taken the biggest amount of influence from anybody that I've watched who's good at this is that I think most people would rather watch somebody who is acting like they're killing it, even if they're not really that musically great, then watch somebody who is boring as fuck but crushing it at their instrument. And that I'm saying most people. There are definitely some people who would rather watch, and it band specific too, because like there's a big difference between watching Knocked Loose and watching Periphery, right? You go to one because of the energy, you go to the other because of their musicianship. Bad example. Knocked Loose is awesome musicians, but anyway, uh, that is definitely something that I've taken note of watching a lot of other vocalists, because, and I'll even I'll even drop one name because he inspired me a lot when we toured with him. But Ollie Baxter from Broadside, is an insane frontman. He is so, so good. I did notice his limitations live, singing wise. He's an amazing singer, but his parts are fucking hard. And I noticed he is so good at mitigating them with his confidence. He's so charismatic and he's so good at being a front man that it doesn't matter if he doesn't quite have the air for that one note. He mic feeds it, comes right back. And that kind of stuff I was super, super inspired by. So maybe, you know what? Ollie Baxter from Broadside.
And so in general, a lot of our like stage persona and energy comes from years and years of playing aggressive music. We are first and foremost heavy music fans. All of us, we all met playing in different metal bands. So like all of my years, what the home team is for me, the second singing band I've ever played in. Like my first band in high school was an emo band, and then everything after that was all screaming. So my like formative years of learning how to perform in front of people were all with heavy music and all trying to headbang and make up for poor musicianship with a cool show. And I feel like that's a common thing between the four of us that we've brought into this genre is like we perform, like if you were to just watch us play, you would not guess what type of music we play because we look way meaner. Well, for how soft we are, we look way angrier than our music would suggest we are.
So you're talking about heavy music. So what are your favorites right now on your playlist that are heavier?
I have been listening to a lot of like the new beatdown wave that's happening. So Knocked Loose is a staple. Meshuggah is an all-time favorite. We went and saw Meshuggah like 3 months ago on their last US tour. Greatest live band, greatest live performance. Don't care if you listen to the music at all. If Meshuggah comes anywhere near you, go watch them because nothing sounds like that.
It was amazing.
Yeah, literally last night we went to the Neck Deep show. Drain played, so we watched got to see Drain. Yeah, that's actually pretty, and obviously Sleep Token. Everyone's listening to Sleep Token.
I don't actually listen to a lot of heavy music anymore. I grew up on a lot of heavy music. So I don't have much of an answer for that question, unfortunately.
I mean, you can tell us what your favorite, like 3 favorite bands right now you've been listening to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They're not bands. They're I listen
Or
to
artists.
contemporary R&B. And so that one that I mentioned earlier, Victoria Monet, just won a Grammy yesterday.
Uh,
Very cool. Also SZA won a Grammy. I love SZA. But no, I listen to a lot of that, and I also listen to a lot of like chill hop, like lo-fi music. Just because like there's a lot of like melodic and choral information in that music that I think is really overlooked. Most people put it on in the background as like, background, productivity music. But there are artists that I really, really enjoy in that genre because I've come up with melodies, like just listening to it because it's really inspiring the way that they orient a lot of chords. And a lot of my ballads start as me singing over like whatever's playing on my like Google Home. And so yeah, that's a genre of music that I really like. I was listening to it right before I got onto this call.
Nice. So since we're talking about like you guys went to the show last night, right? Yes.
I did not. He did.
Oh, you did not.
So I didn't want to
Okay.
like.
It was
didn't wanna
actually
go?
the rest of the band.
Everyone but you went to the show last night. Everyone but Brian. What does the touring schedule look for you guys coming up? How long of a break are you taking?
So we don't have anything announced yet, and I don't know when we're announcing it, but we do have a summer tour confirmed. And that's a full US. I don't know if it goes to Canada or not. And I think we have a fall tour. I'm not going to jinx it. We haven't, nothing has been confirmed, but we were told that we have it. So as far as I know, it's a big summer tour, fall tour, and then supposedly we're doing a European tour. Again, it's so far in advance, nothing's confirmed yet, but that's what we've been told.
But no spring plans. We are off. for
Working on our
once
record.
in the spring.
It's actually funny that you mentioned the European tour because I actually, when we posted about asking fans if they had any questions, there were a couple about 3 people over in the UK and Europe. Kaylee, Nada Slef, and Jen all asked when you were coming back to the UK and Europe. So you kind of just answered it. I mean, you're trying to come back, but probably not till winter.
Yeah, it'll
We
be a while.
have. I think it's going to be a winter tour in Europe. Fingers crossed. We haven't done. We did the UK for the first time, but we haven't played anywhere else in Europe, so we're
Right.
very hopeful.
So we love hearing stories from the road. We've had a lot of good ones that we've heard. Do you guys have any fun or crazy stories from touring you could share with us and the listeners?
A lot of fun, crazy stories. Not a lot that we can technically share. Yeah,
Nope.
we definitely. Daniel, obviously we have stories about when we broke down our van.
And say,
Plenty
oh
of
boy, you
those.
want van breakdown stories? I got 10 of those.
We got plenty. There's also, I mean,
Does anything fun ever happen to us? I don't remember having
I
fun.
love telling stories about our misfortune, though.
What was your biggest misfortune?
Okay, biggest misfortune. On our headliner, it was spring of last year. It was Honey Revenge, Broadside, and us. We were driving from Brian has a great part in this story.
Yes.
We were driving from Austin to Phoenix, or I guess Tucson, because our driver lives in Tucson. In the middle of nowhere, 2 hours east of El Paso, van just dies, like rolls to a halt. We are in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. Like we're cycling between emergency only mode and 1 bar. So very difficult situation. It's probably like noon or so, maybe 11 a.m. And somehow we ended up not on an interstate. We were on like Texas State Road 200 or something. Impossible. We can't get a hold. We can't like maintain a signal long enough to get a hold of AAA. So we managed to get a message out to our managers for them to find a local like tow truck to come get us. But then they also have to find a new rental van for us to take the trailer. Otherwise, the van and trailer would have to get like put on a flatbed or something. So we get a plan, figure out, all right, we got to unhook the trailer, detach that, empty out the trailer and pick it up and move it because we can't move the van. It doesn't run. So the first thing that I do is I take my key to the lock or to like the trailer hitch lock and immediately stick it in and break it off inside the lock. So trailer hitch isn't coming off. So this is after we've unloaded the trailer. It's completely empty. And so let's see. After that, so the trailer hitch doesn't come off, which means that when we get a new van, we won't be able to actually pull the trailer. So we have to figure out something. The plan is next person that we manage to stop, or if the tow truck gets there, we'll have them drive us to to another town to pick up a tow hitch. We get saved by an absolute gem of a human. Some dude pulls over in a pickup truck. He's wearing like some metal band t-shirt I'd never seen before. And he's like, hey, I seen all the gear on the side of the road. You guys a band? Like, yeah, we are a band. This is what happened to us. Any chance you can take me to like just drive me to the next town or whatever? And he says, I'll do you one better. I'm a mechanic. I've got 15 of these tow hitches. You can just have this one. So he pulls the hitch out of his truck and just gives it to us.
Wow.
And we don't have the standard like 2-inch ball. We had just upgraded to a bigger size, so we've got like a 2 and like 5/16 ball, which is much less common. So he gives this to us, saves the day. He's one of like 3 people that we've offered guest lists for life. I don't think he'll ever reach back out to us. He did hit us up on Facebook to see if we were okay. We did eventually make it out. But then eventually the tow truck comes and picks up the van. I ride with the tow truck drivers 2 hours to El Paso. Eventually, the new van rental shows up. It's just some guy. We have rented it from a church or something. So some dude comes and they put all the gear back in the trailer. They haul that over. That van is toast. We eventually sell it to the mechanic that we like dropped it off to for like $2,000. So we took a massive L on that. And then we ended the night at was it an Applebee's? I forget if it was. I think it was an app.
Margs, whatever it was, $1 Margs.
Yeah. So we ended the night at an Applebee's. Honestly, first time I'd ever been there. In El Paso, Texas, because it was the only thing open, and we all ordered so much food because we had like water and Cliff Bars in the desert. And eventually we made it back on the tour. Brian,
had a very funny involvement with this story because prior to this, I wanted to. So my wife was going to fly out for a section of the tour, but we all agreed that 8 people in the van for that drive was too many. So I said, okay, that's fine. Why don't we just stay back in Austin and I'll just fly to Phoenix? So while they're having their horrible day, I had an awesome day in Austin hanging out with my wife and my sister, eating fancy vegan cheese and going to a bunch of different restaurants. Yeah, and I showed up the next morning like, hey guys, how's it going? How was your day yesterday?
Fun fact, I also ended up flying to the next city because the new van didn't have bunks. So there was no way for all of us to sleep. So I actually, on like the really long drives where we had to drive overnight, I ended up just like getting a hotel room with my points and flying the next morning, which not luxurious at all. Way worse than just sleeping in the van. I would much rather sleep in the van and drive overnight than get a hotel room and fly out in the morning. When I landed in Phoenix, I went to a coffee shop, and as I'm sitting there, I'm just sitting there working on my laptop, waiting for everyone else to show up, and a girl with like bright pink hair walks in, very alt looking, and then a super tattooed dude walks in, and I look over, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Andy Hurley from Fall Out Boy. And so, and they don't live in Phoenix. He has like a place in Milwaukee. Yeah, and a place in Portland. So they like sit down across the rest, like the coffee shop from me, and his wife, I figure out his wife gets up and goes to the bathroom. And so I like punish him real quick for a second. I'm like, hey man, huge fan of your band. Want to tell you a funny story. Our guitarist actually played the Star Wars MMO in the same clan as him for a while, and we actually stayed at his Portland house when he wasn't there because John knew someone else that was like in Focused Minds, the vegan straight edge band that Andy is in. So I'm like, yeah, I stayed at your house. I'm also on tour with my band. Kind of put the feeler out there, waited to see if he would ask. He didn't ask. But he was very kind. And as they left before me, when they left, he was like, hey, Daniel, it's great to meet you, man. I'm like, good luck on the road. It's like, thanks, dude. That was my Andy Hurley story.
Yeah. I have no idea if this will show up, but there is a very funny video that I like showing people from when they were out in the desert. Let me let me make sure the volume's good. Wait. And I got to wait for it to restart. All right. Ready?
Oh.
It did not work. But
the audio didn't come through, but you see the video.
It's still funny.
There we go. It's Zesty screaming. Zesty's our driver, and his hat flies off at the exact moment that he's screaming. Anyway, funny video.
Good old Texas windstorm.
So aside from that misfortune, over the years, what have been some of the biggest challenges as a band?
I would say it took a long time to get into the club. There's a lot of you got to know a guy, and we didn't really know a guy. It was a lot of like basically getting to the point where people could no longer ignore us, and that was our goal. We just like threw in for a lot of tours and lost out to bands that we thought were pretty lame, whatever, it doesn't really matter, but they were on the same management, or oh, they're, this is his baby band, or oh, this, yeah, it's just like there was so much of that, and we were just like, we didn't really know anybody, and so we weren't getting any tours, and it was one of those things that was pretty disheartening to watch for, and I'm not whining because it was like it was like 5 years of this, like of grinding, release an album. It does kind of well. Like, now we have people come to our shows and we're like, oh, perfect. Way smaller bands have gotten good tours at this point. And we're like, nope, can't seem to figure it out. So it just basically took until nobody could ignore us anymore. And that wasn't until after COVID. Because the only real opportunity we got was 4 shows opening for Don Broco in 2019 on the other side of the country. They were like, hey, Trash Boat can't make these shows. Can you play them? And we're like, yep, we're going to drive 4,000 miles to come, play 4 shows.
And the funny thing is, so we got 2 support tours when Slow Bloom came out. So we put out Slow Bloom, and then we took out a band from Portland called Glacier Veins. Very sick. You should check them out. We took them out. Shows did way better than we were expecting, and so that's when we first had an inkling of like, oh, maybe people actually like this new record. Like maybe something's gonna happen. We didn't end up. We got 2 support tours after that. We opened for This Wild Life and Broadside, which again wasn't an industry thing. It was, we were friends with This Wild Life's merch guy, and he's the guy who also prints our merch. And he told them like, hey, this band's like going to be the next thing. You should take them out. And then we also got an offer to open for Point North, and we opened, I think, like 2 weeks of their tour. And the reason we ended up doing, oh no, then we get the Real Friends tour after that, right? Before the headliner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we opened for Real Friends. So I guess we got 3 support tours. And we thought, okay, I think we moved up a level. We went from like the 1 slot to the 2 slot, like maybe something else cool is going to come. And the only reason we did our headliner last year is because we couldn't find a tour. So even after like finally getting a little bit of a jump, no one was willing to take us out. So we said, fuck it, let's do our own headliner. And then we sold
That
out.
was a good idea.
Yeah, we sold out 27 of 29 shows. And then that changed everything.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I'm
That was
really
your
happy
breakout
that-
moment.
Yeah.
it was. And the funny thing is, the guys in This Wild Life tried to give us the advice of, don't take too many support tours, don't wait too long to headline. And we said, no, we want as many support tours as we can. And then we didn't get one. So we ended up accidentally taking their advice.
And they were right.
They were right all.
They were totally right.
Yeah, well, at least they were right.
Yeah, I would say the other challenging thing as a band too was like finding our sound. Because the whole, like when we started the home team, it was like the goal was to do something in a more accessible genre, because we had all come from very inaccessible genres. And so when we wrote our record Better Off, we were pretty much writing what we thought people would want to hear. And turns out it wasn't super genuine, and people didn't really want to hear that. So when we wrote Slow Bloom, we said, you know what? If we're not going to make any money playing this type of music, we might as well make what we want to make. So we pivoted styles and just did what we wanted to do. And turns out that resonated with way more people. So we should have just been doing that all along.
Nice. So we interviewed Zach from the band When the Sun Sets a while ago. You guys were featured on their song Seasons.
Just me, but yes.
Well, you were featured. How was that experience? And do you have anyone you'd love to collaborate with in the future?
So we've known them for a while, like I think the DIY days. And I was in like kind of an in-between in music, because I had just like I didn't really have time to have a job anymore, but we weren't quite paying the bills yet. So, and so I had like a year or so, maybe a little longer, where I did a lot of features to make some extra money. And that was they were one of the first to hit me up, and which was really cool. I was really, really grateful. And that's why, like, not that I've half-assed any features, but at that time I was even more like, oh, I definitely want to really put my all into this and make it a good representation of me as a musician. And they were really nice. They were really fun. And luckily, I haven't had a bad experience with um, any of the features I've done, barring maybe one that was fine. Um, but yeah, it was really cool, and that time period was a lot of fun because I got to just kind of flex my vocal muscles over different styles of music. And I'm no longer doing nearly as many features. In fact, at this moment in time, I don't think there are any outstanding that I've done that haven't come out yet. I think everything I've done has come out. Um, but yeah, I would say that collab wise, like I would love to go outside of our genre to collab with somebody. I did that for smaller artists, but more like maybe a more established artist, like somebody that I listen to on the regular would be really cool. Um, and also doing like a very international collab would be really, really fun. There's a bunch of Japanese music that we listen to, and any of those artists would be really, really cool. But yeah, I'd say something that's different, something that's not expected. Like everybody expects me to be on, either a pop punk or a Warped Tour adjacent scene, yeah, a song,
Yeah.
but I would love to do something a little more different in curveball.
Japanese band would be fun. I mean, I've watched a lot of anime and I'm really into anime. So, I mean, I've listened to a lot of Japanese music because of animes. So that would be an interesting collaboration. I'd definitely be interested in hearing.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I can recommend one or two to you, you've probably heard of Yosobi already. Um,
No.
they've done a couple theme songs, like they're pretty big in Japan. But one that you probably have not heard of is a band that has influenced us a lot, and it's a band called Polka Dot Stingray.
Okay.
That is like they are a huge, and don't listen too closely because you'll hear where we get the sauce.
Well, I'm gonna check them out for sure. I like the name too, so
That would be a really cool one for us.
yeah. Chris, what are you thinking, Chris?
I'm thinking, what about on the tail end of that question that she asked? Is there anyone that you would like to collaborate with?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So like any Japanese artist like that, like Polka Dot Stingray would be a huge one. And I mean, to expand on it even more, I would say like there are a lot of R&B artists that I listen to, but that might be shooting a little high. Because
What about on one of your records?
I mean, it'd be sick to have Dua Lipa do a verse.
Hey, you gotta
Yeah.
shoot for the stars, right?
On one of our records, we probably have a little more. We'd probably have a little more leeway or like a little higher ceiling because we'd probably be paying for it. Um, so yeah, I would say like, oh, do you know what would be really cool, Daniel? Teddy Swims.
That would be very sick.
I met him at the Hollywood show that you were at.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
yeah, he is a sweetheart. He's also very good friends with Issues. Um, that would be awesome. But he might be a little too big now. He
Worth shooting the shot.
might be worth shooting a shot. We do have some features on the next album, but they're a little more like in our world.
Yeah.
We're almost there. We're almost to the point where next album we'll throw some curveball features on it. But
Next album, we're shooting some shots.
yeah, we're shooting some shots on the next album.
How were the issues shows?
They were hard, but they were hour and a half to 2 hour sets, and
It's a long time.
it's a long time, and it was a lot of stress and pressure purely just because of the shoes I was filling and the significance of the moment. And it definitely wasn't lost on me, but I was very, very grateful to be there. I was very, very grateful that the guys made me feel very much so that I belonged. Like went out of their way and were like, dude, where have you been all these years? Like, um, and yeah, it was a crazy month. It was a crazy month because the shows themselves were awesome. They were a ton of fun, but they were a lot of, again, stress, pressure, and um, luckily, like we did so much preparing that the shows went great. Like I'm so happy with how they went. Um, and especially the final one. The final one needed to be good because we were live streaming it, and it's like basically going to be on YouTube forever.
Right.
So if I did poorly, I would have never lived it down. But it was good. Everything went well. Love those guys a lot, and it was a lot, but it was great.
It was a lot, but it was great.
So to round you guys out as, you know, human beings like you are, what are some things you like doing outside of the band and music?
We all love video games, but we all love different video games. Um, I play historically. I've played mostly RPGs, so I'm a big Dark Souls fan. I love Elden Ring, love Zelda, played Zelda all my life. But in the last few years, I've gotten really into Destiny 2. And that's like a game that sucks all your time. So that's pretty much what I've been playing for the last like 3 or 4 years. Um, Daniel, you're next.
Yeah, I play primarily tech FPS games, so Counter-Strike and Valorant are my two main ones. Played Counter-Strike since like 2002. That has been my main game up until Valorant took over. And then every time a new Elder Scrolls comes out, that takes over my world.
Every
Got
time.
got some great
The
stories
two
about two of those
times.
Yeah, I was about to say it's been forever.
great stories about two of those games when it comes to Counter-Strike. So when I was in high school, sophomore year, they were starting to like debut and like test laptops in school. And you better believe all us sophomores were playing Counter-Strike on our laptop in the middle of the school day. When it comes to Zelda, here's a little bit of a something I probably shouldn't admit on the podcast. I still haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom.
I haven't either. I'm still like slowly playing it right now.
Yeah.
There's a very good reason why I haven't finished it is because my wife. So I've been playing it almost exclusively with my wife. Like watching. She said that I could do two things by myself. That she doesn't care to watch. Explore the depths and upgrade armor. Like go out and get armor upgrades. Um, and we have pretty much just been doing all the extra stuff. Like we've done, I'm not gonna say any spoilers on here, but we've gotten like I think 70% of the way through the game. We've gotten through a major milestone, but we still have like the rest of the story to do. The problem is we just keep doing side quests. We just
I'm in the
My battery's
yeah,
fully upgraded. My heart, I have almost all the hearts. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm in the same boat. I've had the main quest go fight Ganon, I don't know, sitting there for like 6 months and I
yeah.
just haven't done it. But yeah, the same thing. And it's funny whenever I think about that game historically. I remember when it first came out, there were a bunch of like TikTok videos and things on Instagram about the sounds that the fairies made.
Yeah, love them. Gotta love them. Play
Um,
them at full
yeah.
blast so the neighbors can hear them.
Yeah, exactly. So here's a little bit of an odd question. If you had to describe the band's music as a dog breed, what dog breed would you choose?
This is more of a question for me because Dan's not a dog person. Um,
What cat breed would you do then?
that's real hard. Okay, okay.
Uh,
I'm going something modern. It's not going to be purebred. That's for damn sure because we mix so many genres. Um, it's not it's not tiny like my dog. But it's not a beast. It's probably like 50 pounds, maybe like 45 pounds. I'm gonna go. There's yellow lab in there. There's yellow lab. That's like the safe stuff. But what's the crazy? Oh, you know what? Uh, there's some metal, so I'm gonna add like there's a little bit of pit bull. Uh, Yellow Lab, Pitbull, and then there's a third breed that's not dominant, but it's still there. I'm gonna go with uh English Bulldog. So Yellow Lab is predominant. Pitbull and English Bulldog are less dominant. This dog sounds like it's actually going to be like 70 pounds.
But there's the name of the next album, 45-Pound Mutt.
That sounds like a Bill Murray album.
That straight up does sound like a Bill Murray album.
Might be. Could be.
I did my best.
So
like
what
it.
about a cat breed? Are you a cat person, Daniel?
Cat breed. I'd say we are a Bambino, which is a mixed breed. It's like part Sphinx, part Munchkin. So it like looks like it's hairless, but it actually has like very soft, velvety fur. And they have not weird Sphinx faces. I would
And they
say
got the little
it's
short, stubby legs.
Yep. That's the one. Big ears. I would say because it looks like it's going to be one thing from the outside, but when you actually get close and analyze it, it's something totally different.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we just have a couple fan questions left to ask. One of them came from, I believe, your street team. It was the home street team. They asked what your favorite part of creating new works of art is, and whether it's an album, song, or a design, etc.
Definitely an album, as a whole, because we, I know a lot of bands will go song by song. We definitely will write slowly, multiple songs at a time. It's like it's a pretty slow process for us. And so I truly enjoy the overall process only because it's definitely a stamp of time, like what was happening in the time period in which we were writing and recording it. And I will say this album was a lot harder and less fun to write. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's great. I'm really happy with it. And friction makes fire, whatever. But there's a lot that we learned from this album that we don't want to do again. And you have to do it to know what you don't want to do. So,
Right.
so yeah, I definitely think that my answer is the whole album.
I agree that it's the whole album. There was I think it was Cy from Don Broco who said this to us. I don't know if he got this quote from somewhere, but he said, "Singles make the moment, but albums define the era." And nobody thinks about like a single has to be really, really good for you to think to specifically think about one single in a band's lifespan. Um, but when you think about like the period of the band, you define that by the album that they released. And so we're definitely much more like big picture thinkers. We don't just like go into the studio and with no ideas and like shit out a song. No offense to anyone that does that. If that's what works for you, that's cool. But we have like much more thought. Each person in the band has input. Like there are no bad, like nobody's ideas get shit on. Everyone collectively works on the thing, and so we get very, very into the nitty gritty with every part of our band, but specifically about like each song. So like our mix notes go pretty deep, and we analyze like individual hits on like in the drums. And so just the process of like putting together an album and doing all the branding and like launching that next era for the band is just like very creatively satisfying.
I would
Nice.
love to take a screenshot of some mix notes I sent off recently. I'm not going to because it will give away too much of the song, but it was long. It was really long.
Awesome. So one more fan question from Love from Francis. They wanted to know, Brian, what is your hair care routine?
They're gonna be really disappointed.
Oh,
I do not wash it. It's
that's the secret.
dude, I know it sounds like uh some fucking essential oils lady, but I swear your scalp when you wash your hair compensates with the amount of oil that it creates. And the only reason I swear by this is because because I've done it for years. And I remember when I got wind that this would be a possibility was right when I was kind of starting to grow my hair out. And there was one summer where I had to wear a hat all summer for my job. And I mean, this can speak to how long ago it was. I didn't have long hair. So I wore a hat all summer and I didn't wash it because I was like, okay, this might be my opportunity to like have my month of gross hair. And then I'll go, shower, I still very much so when I'm in the shower, like I scrub my hair and I scrub it with water. And it's, I take pretty warm showers. It's like, it's not cold water. But I don't shampoo it. Unless I've done something recently that's like gross, like swimming in a river. Like if I'm swimming in a river and I get out of the river, like I'm gonna shampoo my hair. It's like I gotta get that shit out. Otherwise though, I pretty much don't ever shampoo it. I do get it wet like 4 to 5 times a week, just between showering and I go to a spa. Um, and so yeah, no shampoo. Don't do that. It's bad for your hair. Now, granted, there are shampoos out there that are way more delicate and like just make your hair smell good and like will help clean it a little bit if you have a problem. Because here's the thing, one thing that I need to stress is that genetics are a factor. Like this worked for me, it might not work for you. Please do not come at me if you spend 3 months with oily hair and it doesn't go away. Um, and yeah, genetics is a factor. I knew that my hair would be pretty decent because my dad has long hair and he's had a long hair since I was a kid. Um, I know what it looked like and my hair had the same hair. So yeah, no. But give it a shot. Try shampooing it a lot less.
Maybe I should shampoo mine less because I get real greasy real fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, because like the times that I notice my hair finally gets greasy is when I work out a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
did hear that you shouldn't actually scrub your scalp. Like you
Word.
should just
Yeah.
do the hair around because the scalp, once you do that, it like does release more oils to compensate.
Yep.
Well, once I dyed my hair blue, all I do is condition, and they make conditioner with more blue dye in it, and so that's what I'll put in my hair. Even when I work out, like I'll only use the conditioner, and then like maybe once a week because I have really, really bad dry skin in the winter. Maybe like once a week, like Head and Shoulders, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
I A really bad joke popped into my head when you said that you dyed your hair blue because I was like, I thought that was a hat.
He
Those
couldn't
are I'm
decide
done.
before the
Goodbye.
interview if he wanted to wear a hat or, make his hair look
I'm too
good.
lazy. Like seriously, working from home has ruined it where like I never ever really do anything with my hair unless it's time for the podcast. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
the
was gonna
only
say I'm
time.
surprised more people don't ask about Daniel's hair considering he actually has to
I
have
was
two.
gonna say, I was actually gonna ask Daniel, do you have a hair regimen? Because I feel like you're being left out on this question.
Uh, yeah, I shampoo my hair like once a week, if that. Um, Usually after like I play hockey, so like I'll usually shampoo it after hockey. But aside from that, I have like a fancy hair mask that was given to me, or I guess suggested by my wife. Now I buy it. And so I basically just use this hair mask. So it's just like fancy conditioner. Um, I condition every day. Because my hair is bleached, so it's super dry and it
Mhm.
wants all the nutrients it can get. And I wash like once a week.
Okay. At least you wash it once a week.
Yeah, but it just kind of goes this way. Like my hair, like I could shake my head as much as I
It's
wanted.
trained.
Yeah, it just goes this way. I don't really do anything.
It happens. Yeah, you were talking about hockey. You play hockey. My nephew and my two nieces play hockey.
Cool.
They're in
Yeah,
hockey.
yeah,
They
I
all
played
have
my whole
different
life.
favorite teams, though.
And say we just got a team in Seattle, so now I have my obvious favorite team, but it was the Philadelphia Flyers for a long time. Um, but now
Mine
Kraken.
was always the Detroit Red Wings, and then I also like the Predators. But that's because we have the AHL Admirals in Milwaukee. So, I mean, they have
Ah,
Predators
gotcha.
players on that team too. So I do love hockey. I grew up around it. My brother played it in high school, so I went to all his games. So
Yep. Yeah, I played travel hockey like from 11 through 18. Now I just play in like a men's league.
yeah. Hey, got to keep going. I'm pretty good on skates. I can still stop.
Say if it ever comes time that we need ice skating in a music video, like I am the one.
There you go. Music video idea right there. Well, I think that's all we got for you. That we just had the 3 questions from the fans and you answered one earlier on. So thank you again for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
We've
awesome.
had a
Yeah,
lot of
thanks
fun, a
for
lot
having
of
me.
laughs, and
Oh yeah.
enjoyed your dog breed.
Oh yeah. I wonder what that would actually end up looking like. It might be kind of
Maybe some fan will like draw this now. Like they're gonna be like yellow lab and they're gonna like get all artistic and draw it for you.
That'd
they
be
might
great.
have a better suggestion of combinations too.
Well, thanks again, guys, for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having us.